A young man opened his eyes and found out that he was in another world, a world that was suited for him. Sitting upright, he looked around and found out it was all plains. At that moment, a voice asked if he had woken up, and that was how he discovered that it was one of the two katanas in his hands, which introduced itself as Hotarumaru, but Hotaru for short. He then introduced himself as Fujinomiya Sujiru, but he said he would be happy if he called Suji. However, Hotaru suggested that Suji give the other katana a name, as it seems it's a young fairy sword and has yet to develop a language skill. Suji named it Sakura, and added that they should all help each other. He then discovers a forest behind him, but he chooses not to check it out as he doesn't have any prior knowledge about the ecosystem of the world in which he is now, so he would rather avoid the forest. He then went over the hill before him, hoping to get a better view of the area. And in no time, he got to the top of the mountain, where he saw a signpost indicating that he should take the right path, which leads to the town of Mikiriya, while the left path leads to Zakaru's tower. And then there is a bandit's warning along the road as well. He picked the path leading to the town. However, after walking for an hour, he did not see any city in sight and was almost exhausted, but he continued walking. After a little while, he heard someone screaming in the forest, to which Hotaru propelled him into running. It then explained the kind of stance he had to take so he could run much faster, which he did, and was able to master quickly. After a while, he saw a caravan ahead, to which he got closer and saw a group of bandits surrounding a young woman, and then another bandit was inside the train. Hotaru then explained that he would have to silently kill the bandits inside the caravan before attacking the ones outside. Sujiru was able to kill the bandit without his heartbeat changing a beat. He then proceeded to attack the other bandits while protecting the young woman. Fujinomiya Tsujiru died at the age of 16 due to a stab wound. He killed 2 robbers simultaneously without hesitation and changed a little bit a long time ago. It has resided in his heart since he was little, and to him, heinous individuals are things, not people. Though Tsujiru's deviated sense of values did not hinder his daily life, he lived with a constant feeling of estrangement. One of the guys who Tsujiru met wanted to escape when they saw that they could beat him. The second guy later surrendered, telling the second guy to let them run away. But then one of the guys, referred to as the vice chief, suggested that Tsujiru would catch them if they ran. So he told the other guy that he only had to run away while he asked the other guy to help him hold Tsujiru back for him. But then, Tsujiru wondered if there was any reason to let the 2 guys live. The second guy also pleaded with Tsujiru to spare him. Still, Tsujiru, who did not know what to do, decided to ask the lady with him if he should spare the guy. But the lady reminded him of how he did not hear the plea of the couple that begged him earlier. Tsujiru then asked Hotaru if it was doing fine. Hotaru gladly replied that it was okay because Tsujiru's first battle got passing marks, so Hotaru reminded him to pick Sakura up quickly. The lady then asked Tsujiru if he would collect the robbers' weapons. Tsujiru then thought that they should sell them then, so he went to pick Sakura up. He gathered all the bandits' weapons together. They had no purses. Tsujiru then asked the lady what to do with them, since it did not look like the lady could use them. However, the lady explained to Tsujiru that one cannot use a weapon's intrinsic abilities unless the person registers as its owner, because a gun is an identification card. A criminal's weapon can be turned in for a reward. The lady then introduced herself as Sistina, and thanked Tsujiru for saving her from such a dangerous situation. Sistina then told Tsujiru to let them return the belongings of the people whom the robbers had stolen back to the people, and Tsujiru agreed. Then they headed for the town, and on their way, the night came, and they decided to stop somewhere where they could pass the night. Sistina made food for Tsujiru and herself, which Tsujiru liked, as he claimed that he had not eaten such a delicious meal before. So he asked Sistina to teach him about it if she did not mind. Sistina did not know where to begin the explanation, so she brought her identification in a status window that showed her name, age, and profession as an acolyte. Meanwhile, she asked Tsujiru to display his status window, and he replied that he could not do that. So she explained how he could express his status window. Tsujiru showed his status window and discovered he was a magic swordmaster. Meanwhile, Sistina explained what an acolyte was and that she had a powerful skill known as a contract. If there is a scenario where an agreement with another person binds her, she must fulfill all the orders requested by the person, or else there will be a cumbersome punishment on her in return. The acolyte's prowess dramatically increases, allowing them to fight. However, she remarked that she was surprised Tsujiru could move well without battle-type abilities. He then explained that he has some other abilities, such as convenient understanding, which enabled him to learn about something. However, he used his ability as an arms expert to discover the specifications of Hotaru, and found that it's a divine weapon class. He then tried to use one of the abilities known as Animate. He implemented the Animate ability on Hotaru, who turned into a woman and used the sheath to cover her body. Hotaru teased Tsujuru for a while. She later told Tsujuru and Sistina to go and sleep while watching out for them throughout the night. Sistina then told Tsujuru that she would like to discuss something with him the next day, but Tsujuru asked if she could talk about it at that moment. But she insisted that it would be later because she would need a night to think it over. While Tsujuru went to sleep, he still could not figure out what Sistina might want to discuss with him, but then he guessed that Sistina might want to tell him that she would be leaving them the next day. But Tsujuru did not like that. Hotaru noticed that Tsujuru had trouble sleeping, and she went to him to pet him. Because Hotaru felt sorry for Tsujuru, who died and got thrown into that world, and for the bandits incident, Hotaru asked Tsujuru how many people he had killed, including those in his original world. However, Tsujuru replied that he never counted them, but all he did was cut up some things. Hotaru then explained to him that in his original world, even though it might have been in self-defense, he killed 2 people, and among one of them, the last person he killed in his original world was his biological father. But when Tsujuru recollected, he remembered that his father was the man who wore a mask to go and break into his ex-wife's house when he was having trouble with money, and even stabbed Tsujuru, who was his son. Hotaru allowed Tsujuru to gain a sword that is unwavering before evil, and the blade is Tsujiru's most outstanding talent. Although Tsujuru has always felt lonely, his stance on evil differs from that of most people. And that is why the world he got thrown into is a necessity for him, because he is the one who accepts everything. The following day, after Sistina greeted Tsujuru, she asked if Tsujuru would form a contract with her. A couple was seen kneeling in front of Sistina, asking her to form a contract with their son, adding that they had brought their entire fortune. After considering them for a while, she agreed to form a contract. Tsujuru was surprised that Sistina requested a contract with him, who then added that it might be fate because she might have created a contract with a bandit, but Tsujuru rescued her. And that since Tsujuru said he wished to know about the world, and she possessed the knowledge of her wisdom script, Tsujuru then told her that he was looking forward to being with, to which Sistina was grateful. However, she then explained that there are 3 types of contracts, which are more robust in the order in which the 3rd contract, which was the contract of subservience, will enable her to have more vital abilities, but then there will be unconditional obedience. But to her surprise, Tsujuru picked the contract of subservience and then rewrote all the rules, allowing Sistina to refuse his orders if they were inappropriate. Sistina was shocked, as she never imagined that it would be possible for someone to be able to change the rules of a contract. Sistina laughed at herself, thinking she must have been training so hard to become an acolyte to meet Tsuji. She then accepted to have him as her master, and declared that she would serve him as her master. However, Tsuji looked so sober that Hotaru asked what was wrong. He then replied that he felt blessed to have all of them by his side, to the extent that he feels he will be encountering bad things henceforth. However, Hotaru replied that it was because he was being blessed by the world, which he also accepted. However, they boarded the caravan, and Sistina asked him what he would like to do, and he replied that he just wanted to live his life out and earn a living. However, Sistina told him that he could become anything, to which they noticed a town ahead. When they finally arrived in the city, it was crowded with people. Tsujiro remembered that Sistina talked with the entrance guard before they could enter the city. Sistina claimed that she did because commonly, Tsujiro is supposed to pay some money when they want to join the city. But if he shows that he is an acolyte and also their master, then he can be exempt from paying the money. But Sistina added that in exchange for that, they have a duty that they have to attend, which is like they will have to work for the city. And Sistina said that she would tell him more about that next time, so she asked them to relax. But then, Hotaru felt like she should have hunted and skinned more monsters if she had known that they were short of money. But Sistina told her not to bother, as she explained to her that they could get enough money from selling the skins and the reward from taking out the bandits. Just then, she remembered one thing and was unsure if they would be okay with it, which is that she should send some money to the family of her late master, which would be very selfish of her. But she hasn't said it out. But Tsujiro made her understand that there was nothing she would ask for that he would not permit her to do since she was their friend. Hotaru guessed immediately that Sistina wanted to do something for the original owner of the carriage they were using, so Tsujiro told her that they would take what they needed and then she would be free to send the rest. Sistina was pleased with Tsujiro's suggestion, and she was also glad to have made a contract with someone like Tsujiro. So she went to sell the carriage and negotiated with the buyer until she attained her desired amount of money. Tsujiro and Hotaru were surprised that the buyer could raise the price for the carriage that high. Still, Sestina explained that she uses a skill that pulls the upper limit of how much the other person will go, and that was why she waited for the perfect timing to use the craft, which worked out. They proceeded to go and rent a room, where they decided to grab some food and finally rest after their long journey. While they were still eating, Sestina decided to talk about the duty given to them, which was exploring the tower. She also explained further to them that the tower is a monster-filled building. Since ancient times, it has been known that there were 10 towers, so monsters are endlessly created inside the tower, and when the tower is complete, those monsters will start leaking out from the tower. Because of that, 3 buildings were destroyed in the past. So ever since then, no anomalies have been spotted around those areas. So those areas are blessed with prosperity. Because of that, each city continues to try to subjugate those towers to gain safety and prosperity. After Sestina explained all about the tower, Sujiro saw nothing terrible about them trying to visit those towers, and Hotaru added that it would be good training for Sujiro. After that, they all bathed while Sestina told Sujiro they would get the equipment ready for use the next day. Suji and Sestina spent the night together, at which point they saw Hotaru in the inn, who then remarked that the duo had enjoyed themselves. She then informed Suji that she would stay as a blade tonight and head to the room. So, Suji and Sestina were together for the night as well, as they both had a bath together, which they spent their night. Suji explained to Sestina the following day that his stats had increased. Meanwhile, they checked Hotaru's stats and discovered she is now S rank, surprising Sujiro. She then saw that the other rank effects increased, resulting from what Suji did the other night. However, Suji felt that Sakura was also sorrowful and somewhat regretful. He then recalled that Sakura had a high vigor absorption value, and that was because she was exposed to a lethal dose of his blood when he was stabbed by his father then. However, he comforted her and asked her to keep growing until she could speak. Sakura's mood then brightened. Meanwhile, they asked Suji to try using magic, but he could not do so, and Hotaru then said that he didn't need that since he had extraordinary magic. Suji then felt pumped up and declared they would get equipment and capture the tower the following day. The next day, they went to the transfer point, where they received a tag and were informed that they would have to pay 1,000 lyre. However, at that moment, adventurers were returning from the transfer point. However, one saw Hotaru and Sestina and wanted to befriend them, but they refused him. They then proceeded to the transfer point, where they appeared in a city called Lake City, where they would have to pass through to get to the tower. Sojiro and his group finally went into the tower, where they could sense the monsters ahead. Then they decided to test Sestina's skills first, as they asked her to go on first, which she did. But Sujiro could not feel like she was moving. Meanwhile, Hotaru told Sujiro that Sestina was doing the right thing. Sestina faced the monster and she fought the monster. Still, she apologized to Sujiro and Hotaru for showing them something unsightly, while Hotaru felt she should be proud. Sujiro, however, challenged and questioned Sestina on why she waited, when she knew that the monster had an opening. But Sestina tried to explain to him that if she had attacked the monster there, she was sure the beast would have dodged her blow. Hotaru continued complimenting Sestina for her excellent job, and Sestina told Hotaru that her techniques were self-defense and escorting. Still, she is naturally good at defending rather than attacking. After Sestina was done, the next intern was Tsujiro, whom Hotaru promised to lead to the monster's location, and while they walked around, Tsujiro saw that it was a wide area and quite different from what he expected. Tsujiro was then told that there is a boss monster on each floor, and once the boss gets defeated, he can head to the next bed. Still, when the numbers of defeated monsters increase, a new boss will appear again while the tower master resides on the last floor, and if Tsujiro can beat him, the tower will collapse. Sestina explained further that the tower is a selective type, and it always starts at the first level, so whenever Tsujiro goes up a group, the demons there will be stronger. Tsujiro needed to understand why there was a tower in the first place. Tsujiro then got started, and when he tried to strike the monster, he saw that it was not easy, and Sestina asked him why he was so stiff, but he told Sestina that fighting a monster is not that easy. So, when Hotaru saw that he was not ready to fight the beast, they changed his thinking by telling him that if he could not kill the demon, the devil would kill humans without restraints. When Tsujiro heard about that, he decided to kill the monster, because he realized that the only thing they could do was get rid of the evil. Suji used his sword to hold the monster off, using the opportunity to defeat it. Sestina was surprised that his movements had changed completely. Suji was grateful for Hotaru's help, as he praised that she had an outstanding fighting, and that if it weren't for Hotaru's advice, neither he nor Sestina would have been able to fight the way they did. Meanwhile, Sestina then healed his arm as well. Tsuji felt excited by the thought that he would level up a lot. They moved to the next floor where Hotaru asked Sestina to take the vanguard while she instructed Tsuji about how he should fight the monsters. Meanwhile, Hotaru eventually joined in the battle as well, and after a while, they could also clear the floor. However, at that moment, a traveling merchant was seen as he called out to them, saying that they needed a party ring. He then introduced himself as Wilmark Bays. Wilmark then explained that the party ring could be used to know the exact location of each other should they get lost in the tower, and that the amount for 3 rounds is 300,000 marls, which prompted Tsuji and the ladies to leave. Still, they were stopped by Wilmark, who inquired if Sestina was an acolyte and then gave them the 3 rings as an investment, claiming he would need her help one day. The next day, they returned to the tower, where they learned that all the monsters on the first floor had been completely wiped out. This was a result of the exploration made by Tsuji and his group. However, another problem was that adventurers went into the tower and had yet to return, so Sestina insisted they head in immediately to save the group. Unfortunately, Tsuji initially refused. Nevertheless, due to Sestina's persistence, he eventually agreed, and they all headed over to the tower's entrance. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe our channel for more video like this. See you next time.